Hey, I'm Sophia Miles, and this is the legend of the Traveling TARDIS.
Dugga-doo, dugga-doo, dugga-dugga, dugga-doo, dugga-doo. I've been removed for singing Dugga-doo. Welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, everybody. Happy Canada Day for all of our Canadian viewers. I am your host for this evening, Paparazzo Dave Chapman. And why was I singing Dugga-doo? Well, honestly, because we were having a conversation about it before we started. And, I'm a jerk like that. Christian hates that song. But we are doing a starter kit for Doctor Who today. That's right. Doctor Who starter kit. What episode would our panelists choose to start somebody on if they had never watched Doctor Who? Do you think any of them chose the Interstellar Song Contest? We'll find out in a minute. But first, let me introduce our producer for this evening, the one and only Christian Basil. How you doing, Christian? You're on mute, Christian.
No Dugga-doo, no Dugga-doo, no Dug. I'm gonna dug something out over there in the do or something. Is my camera a little fuzzy? That's
a little dark, but not fuzzy.
A little dark. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, well, I got a light here. There we go.
There's the usual light.
There we go. I like being in the dark, but that's me just saying. Hello, everybody. Again, as Dave put, we are going to be talking tonight. We've done this in previous years. We tried to, when we start out with folks who've never seen or heard of Doctor Who, we tried to put this little starter kit together. Something we used to do at panels over at MegaCon, Tampa Bay Comic-Con, Florida SuperCon, Space Coast Comic-Con, for folks who may not be familiar with Doctor Who and what would be the episode. You only get one episode to pick. So which episode of Doctor Who would you use to get, and not necessarily your favorite, and it may not be your favorite, and we'll discuss that even further, but an episode that you would start somebody out with who has never heard of Doctor Who. It would be the best introduction, and you have all of going from Hartnell all the way up to Gatwa. What episode would you start off with? So tonight we're going to explore that. We have 5 different takes tonight, so you can tell us what you think, and tell us what you think about your episode that you would use to bring somebody into the WHOniverse. So without it, take it away.
All right. We'll throw.
No, I don't have to be in the corner tonight.
You don't want to be in the corner tonight?
No, I'm part of the show now. There you go. But you're the host.
There we go. Wasn't sure who I had, if you had chosen something or not. I hadn't looked at the labels.
I'm fine.
It's okay. Next up, Reverend Amagon Tom. How you doing? You're drinking coffee. We'll skip that. Sean, art philosophy.
It's even perfect. You should get him when he's drinking coffee.
Sean, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm having a scrumdiddlyumptious day. I'm excited to talk about this topic today. So yeah.
I have not heard scrumdiddlyumptious in a very long time.
I used to work at Wonka's factory. I'm the one who disclosed all the secrets. So, whoops, I'm Slugworth. But yes, I'm having a great day. Excited to talk about this episode, I'm excited to talk in this episode about the episode I choose. So yeah.
Excellent. And now we'll try. No, he's just holding it there now. He's just holding it. Yeah. Hey Tom, how's it going?
I came, I saw, I forgot what I was doing, went back, got distracted. I have no idea what's going on. Is this my cup? I have to pee.
Yeah, we do that on every episode here. It's just the Traveling TARDIS.
what you're doing is you're talking about your Doctor Who starter pick.
Yeah, and just ripping through every poem like a vampire should.
There
It takes
we
one
go.
to know one, like I knew you would.
The world is a vampire.
Oh, good grief.
Da-na-na-na-na.
Happy Canada Day, Dave.
Hey, happy candidate,
What-
time scales, and everybody else.
So what happens in on your day in Canada? What transpires here?
It's a little weird because it is a Tuesday, but so some people had a long weekend with Monday off. Some people have today off. Some people had all the days off. There's usually it's very similar to your Independence Day in the States. You know, some people will have barbecues, little house parties. There'll be big family gathering events out in parks and whatnot, and there's usually fireworks at the end of the evening.
All I'm saying is I don't want to be the guy that is pushing this, but I just want to say, hey, I've got pets. They freak out. Well, actually, I never got a chance to say this, and I forgot of all the stuff that we had to put on. I forgot his picture. We sadly had a passing, and if anybody remembers from the time being that we have the cat alert out here. Unfortunately, I took down his picture. I might bring it up next time, but we had a passing in our family. Beaker, who was the one, he passed away this past Wednesday, and he was 21 years old. He lived a fruitful life, but he was the reason why we started the pet alert, and so now we have this alert that comes up every now and then when we see an animal or furry come up on the screen. But I just want to let folks know that you will not be seeing much. You won't be seeing Beaker anymore because, unfortunately, he is gone. So I'm wherever he is. I'm hoping he is, and I'm really thankful for having him in our lives for 21 years. I mean, he was a staple of the family. So
He's kicking around and watching.
he's watching. Yeah, he's waiting for me to put something up, I'm sure.
He'll knock down a.
Don't say that. I'll be walking around out here and something will fall over.
All right. So, of course, we've got Gadget coming in to do the Who Knew News. So why don't we start by running that?
Absolutely. Let's go get Gadget for the Who Knew News. Off my keyboard, Dave.
So I was going to ask our wonderful audience for a moment of silence for Beaker and everything because I love that cat. When I saw that post, I almost cried too because now he's up there with Shadow and all my other cats and dogs and everything. But it was fun watching The Legend of Traveling TARDIS with Beaker on and everything.
Yes.
And stuff. So I would ask everybody a moment of silence, as many seconds. We'll do 5 seconds, and then we'll go right into the birthdays because that'll be the happy news. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So, dear Beaker, please show us you're here, if anything.
No.
No.
No, I don't want to knock crap over my stuff.
Because we all miss you and love you.
He would actually push the computer over. That's how silly he is.
I know, because I'm waiting for the camera to fall, because I know Beaker would be the final say tonight. He would be like, well, I left you now. I'm going to leave you with a memory to be on video one last time, you know? So, yeah.
That's
what I'm saying.
That's Tom and his microphone.
I know, that's Tom. But I'm like I said, guys, if you see a cat on screen and we don't have our cats with us right now, or if the camera gets a little funny or anything, that's Holly Beaker saying thank you guys for all those years. And this is my last appearance on The Legend of Traveling TARDIS for Beaker, you know? But I'm going to miss that cat. He was funny.
He was.
And everything and stuff. So now, oh boy. We're going to get into the birthdays, and I'm going to start with by date order. So on June 27th, Shannon Purser from Stranger Things, and I forgot the character because I haven't seen this. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I have not watched that show because I don't have Netflix. And
Really?
she turns 28. I do know that one of the actors that she has worked with eat at the Candlelight Inn here in Scarsdale, New York. He actually lives in Scarsdale. He was a regular there, and stuff, and he worked with her. I don't know his name because I'm still finding all this out now and everything. But wasn't she was the one with the glasses and killed off in the first season, right? As someone was explaining to me and stuff, because I thought she made a comeback in the series, the way everybody was explaining it.
They wanted her to come back. They had a hashtag going called Justice for Barb.
Okay.
For her character to come back because they thought they did her dirty, and they did. In my opinion, they did her character dirty.
From what I heard, yeah, she got robbed about a few times on that series.
But she went over to do, I forgot, what was it, the Jughead series, what was it, Riverdale or something like that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Riverdale.
Yeah, Riverdale. She did a couple of other shows, and yeah, I don't know if she's that would be amazing if somehow she came back in the final series, which is supposed to premiere, I think, this year.
Yes, it's supposed to be. They're finally getting everything, all the loose ends tied up from, because everybody that's watched the series has told me I missed out on a lot, but when you don't have Netflix, it's a little hard and everything. You can't just keep adding another streaming service and everything.
It is a very good series. I highly recommend. Guys, what do you think? What do you think of Stranger Things? Since we're recommending shows,
well, with me first on this, I was going to tell you guys that I grew up with the premise of this because when I found out what it's based on, I actually was raised in Long Island near the Montauk Project. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I understand the premise of the show. I just lived it in real life during the 80s and everything and stuff. So that's what I'm saying. Is it basically similar, or is it more going towards alien type? That's what I'm saying.
I only saw the first season of it. I'm not even sure I saw the whole first season of it out of timing. No, I loved it. It was great. I have intended to go back to it numerous times and just haven't gotten a chance. Same thing with Riverdale. I watched the first 2 seasons of it, and that was all that was available, and then I never got back to it. But it is definitely
it's one to watch.
Yeah, they're definitely fun watches. You have to know what you're walking into. You know, don't expect more than gold out of them, but
Stranger Things is a series that will hook you. It will. I mean, you will get it.
Because I know there's a Broadway play coming out. There's all these other things that are like the prequel to it and stuff. But it's like, to try to watch a full season, I don't have the stuff to watch it unless I can purchase all the DVDs. And that's a strange media because nobody ever can find a DVD anymore.
Well, I guess I caught this picture. This was at Spooky Empire a long time ago, and she had just left Stranger Things. This was just like she just departed from Stranger Things. So there you are. Happy birthday, Shannon.
And then it's a toss-up, but I'm going to go with our very own Layla Ward, who I still cannot believe she's going to be 74 years old. She was,
and she wears it well.
I know, that's why I'm like in shock right now, because I'm looking at all of this and everything from what I'm seeing on the page and stuff, and everyone knows she was the second Romana, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she was the second Romana, and I actually was introduced to Doctor Who from PBS, and the one full episode of Doctor Who that I actually got to watch was her and the Fourth Doctor having time skips, and I still don't really know the premise on that episode. I don't remember if that was the Da Vinci episode or that was the one where they were sitting in the Paris cafe and they kept getting the time skips.
Where they were stuck in the time loop, or
they were sitting at the table and she kept saying, "Boy, my head is getting dizzy," and she did the nose thing. And it was where they kept saying it's like time is repeating on itself. They were in the Paris cafe. I don't know if that was the Da Vinci one where they had it's a fake.
That would be City of Death if it was in Paris.
That would be City of Death. And that's the famous one between the two of them.
Because PBS was very limited on their runs of what they showed. And it was either a full episode of Sylvester right after, and then this. And everything was the first one I saw. And then after that, it was a Hartnell for the rest of the time because that's all they could get.
And if I'm not mistaken, Tom, this is the first marriage in Doctor Who before granddad and grandson and doctor's.
That's what I was going to ask you. She did marry him, right?
She did marry Tom Baker, and I think it lasted a year and a half, maybe not even that.
Doctor Who's biggest monster, Tom Baker.
Tom Baker, and that's if you asked Layla Ward, she would have told you, who's your favorite monster? And she would go Tom Baker.
but she wears it well. And I like that thing she does with her nose when she does it to the doctor and everything, because that was pretty cool watching that as a kid and everything.
She's a day over 20 something.
What happened?
She doesn't look a day over 20 something.
No, she doesn't. She does not age.
On this picture.
You want to talk an original vampire? There you go. She's a vampire. Okay. And then we have next on the same day, who is only 3 years younger than me but has the same name, well, real name, is Felicia Day. And we all know her from everything: The Guild, Supernatural, Eureka, Buffy, you name it, you know, she's been in it and everything. And her daughter Calliope is so cute and everything. She comes to New York Comic Con. She's been everywhere and anywhere. Like, you get no stone unturned, you'll find her everywhere. And right now, it's just I'm trying to see what she has coming up next, because she is always doing tons of stuff and everything. I'm wondering if they're going to bring her back for the Buffy revival, but at the moment, let me see what the last thing, I'm looking at it right now. The last thing she did for everybody in film, what was it? Was the Dungeons and Dragons 20-side dice tavern. That's the only thing it looks like in 2024 at stage 42 here in New York City for the Improv. But otherwise, not much and everything. The last time I saw her was in 22 at New York Comic Con, when she was releasing the official Lord of the Rings podcast and other situations like in past that I've talked with her and everything. But she's really nice. She just has a line out the door. You only get to say hi and bye.
That's true.
But otherwise, that's it for the birthdays. Right now is another surprise. If fans of, and I'm going to have to say this right, Franz Ferdinand. Did I say it right, guys?
Yes.
You guys love Franz Ferdinand. You got treated in Glastonbury Music Festival because Peter Capaldi, our wonderful doctor, joined on stage to sing out one of the songs with him. And I'm trying to figure out kind of the song and everything, because people are telling me it was called, where was it? Really? No, you don't. Oh, man. He sang out with them. It was Take Me Out. And it was a good performance. And I tried to get you guys pictures of the situation, like everything that was going on with them, how they surprised the audience and everything. But due to copyrights, it's so hard to get like the actual shots that aren't just issued to the press. And when you try to download them, they're like, cannot be downloaded. So I wish I could have, especially the video I was trying to get. Plus I sent another video and he was just impressed with I cannot pronounce it, with Franz, and how he has like, it was more of a welcome, like he wanted to do this. He was having so much fun that day. But it was hot. And I don't blame him because it's hot here too. Everything.
He was dressed in a suit jacket and everything. Like he was
with red shirt, red, like, and I was like, are you kidding me? You're dying in this heat. But otherwise, he had fun and everything, and he's more than willing to do it again. You know, so that's it for the news right now. But I would like to introduce Sean from our philosophy, because we have a new segment as part of the news. He would like to talk to us about the ratings. So, Sean, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, we have the numbers in for the Doctor Who Series 15 or Season 2 or whatever you want to call them ratings. Mind you, these are UK ratings, and the way I talk about ratings is not raw numbers, because everything that is released in the UK is competing with TikTok and YouTube and streaming and all that stuff. So rather than looking at numbers, raw viewing numbers for how they were doing 10 years ago for Doctor Who versus how they're doing now or any other show, what I do is I basically say, okay, how is the show stacking up against everything else? And then there's iPlayer ratings in here as well for the weekly ranking. And, even if that is some sort of unfair advantage because people can watch it twice, everything else has that advantage too. So I want to see directly how Doctor Who is doing. So with that in mind, Doctor Who Series 15, Season 2, the numbers came in, and so they're kind of all over the place. So for this season, we have 8 episodes, first of all, 8 whole episodes, not counting the Christmas special. So as far as weekly rankings, I'm talking everything like the Barb ratings for the whole week for all television programs. Half of the episodes ranked in the 20s. Okay, so that means, they're just less than number 20, a little bit lower than number 20, but all the episodes in that first half of the season, the first 4 episodes were in the 20s. The second half of the season was a little bit weirder. You had 2 episodes that ranked in the 30s, 1 episode that ranked in the teens, and 1 episode that ranked in the top 10. So if you count all of those together and average them, it's about number 23. Between number 23 and 24, that's about how the show ranked as far as all the episodes combined, all the episodes averaged. So if you're wondering which specific episodes, how did they do? Well, the worst episode came in at number 35, and that was unfortunately the story in the engine, because a lot of people said that was one of the better episodes. The episode that did the best was the Interstellar Song Contest. I have a theory about why that episode did well. It's Dugadoo. I think that's the reason. I think when Dugadoo started playing,
that's a cue.
everyone started tuning in when that happened. And if you're wondering how the show finished on the final episode, The Reality War, it came in at about number 18. So with the show averaging number 23 or 24 for the rankings, if you're wondering how that does or how that stacks up to the other seasons, that's pretty much in line with how the show's been doing for the past 10 years. So Capaldi's first season was going up in probably the 10s, I would think, for series 8. Then series 9 and series 10, they were like in the 20s pretty much on average. Then Jodie Whittaker's season kind of went up a little bit when she started out. Then it kind of ended up in the 20s again. Then the David Tennant specials came along, and they were in the ranking near the top 10, all 3 of those. And Shudi's first episode as well, also ranked near the top 10. And now the show's settling down in the 20s again. So this idea that like the show's ratings have fallen off of a cliff, what these numbers reveal is that's kind of a fantasy. The show is doing about how it's been doing for 10 years. So it definitely didn't get a big boost from Disney. But if the show is falling off of a cliff, then every program is falling off of a cliff, because Netflix is a thing and TikTok is a thing. So, but that's how the Doctor Who latest season did in terms of ratings. And if you're wondering how the Christmas special did, it was actually number 6 for the week. So Shudi's Christmas special did pretty well too.
Now, do you have the other ratings in front of you there, Sean?
The other, what do you mean?
What else was in those any given week? Do you happen to have that right in front of you right now, or not?
I don't have it right in front of me, but I might know if you were just curious about a specific episode.
On any given episode, really, how many places above it was Coronation Street, which is often one of the top rated shows 5 days a week, and so that throws ratings way up on a curve.
Right. I'm not sure. I know Coronation Street is like really big there. I know people call it Corey sometimes too, because like it has. I know that whenever I was looking at the Barb ratings, though, especially when I was looking at series 14, Coronation Street was always ranking alongside Doctor Who, and it was doing well. So I know that, but I'm not sure specifically how it did for those. Why do you ask?
Just as a context thing, because if in 1 week Doctor Who shows 1 episode, and Coronation Street shows 5 episodes, and is being ranked on 5 episodes, that's potentially 1 show bumping
like
back,
displacing it 5 places potentially if it's more popular. Exactly.
And there's several other reality shows that are in there that are multiple times a week that were generally higher ranked, from what I saw. That were generally higher ranked, but again, those are knocking them down 2, 3, 4, 5 places.
Yeah.
Things.
Yeah, and one last detail before we move on. For Classic Who, even during some of what people call the Golden Age, wasn't doing particularly well. Sometimes it was considered good if it ranked like in the top 40, and because there was just a lot of programs at the time. So the show nowadays averaging in the 20s, that's a lot better than some past eras too. So I don't know what Disney's going to do about that. And again, these are just UK ratings. But in the States, when Doctor Who's doing really well, it was also ranking in the 20s. So we'll see.
Now, playing devil's advocate on things, because I know the naysayers are going for the overnights, but with the way that things are now, I mean, we can't. It's really, we don't have the Nielsen ratings anymore. We're going by what people tell us.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Disney Plus have they even revealed their ratings yet at all?
No, and
Not
I don't
completely.
know if they're going to.
Gotcha.
Remember,
Okay.
they actually were supposed to have more episodes. That's the thing. They signed up for 26 episodes, and we only get 8.
Well,
So
it's a
that's
total.
another thing.
When they say 26 episodes, does that mean also
Across the seasons,
first
yeah.
season?
First
Okay.
season was supposed to be 8 episodes.
And
it was
the
supposed to be
Christmas
really
episode.
eight. Right, it was supposed to be 8 Christmas, another 8. It's supposed to be broken down that way because usually a season is 13 episodes.
Right.
And everything, unless they were incorporating the Land Between the War and the Sea as the extra episodes.
Yes,
And they're
and
also incorporating the tenant specials as well. So that's 3 more right there as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm. So you got to figure what they're up to now to honor the contract before they decide what else they're going to do.
yeah, Land
Yeah,
in the War.
I would love some sort of revelation about U.S. ratings too for all of that stuff because I'm just in the dark. I only know UK ratings because the UK
Because, like I showed you guys, it was only just posted yesterday. They were doing reshoots for the Land Between the War and the Sea, and that's as far as we know. It still has not aired yet.
Well, thanks for letting me do that, guys. I had a lot of fun going over that. Oh, and Christian, I didn't tell you this, but I'm also sorry to hear about your loss. I wasn't aware of that until you said that, so I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I mean, he was 21 years old, so I'm not. And toward the end of his life, it was a little bit painstaking. It's just like he's not doing well. So
How did Summer take it though?
I think she's not taking it well
Oh,
because
boy.
you can tell she's more pouty than normal.
I was going to
She's just
warn
always
you.
pouty.
Yeah.
Now, Sean, I have a question, and when it comes, and I just wanted your opinion on this. If we don't have, when it comes to the naysayers, they're looking at the overnights more. And they do have a bit of an argument. It's just like, if it was more popular, there should be more people coming in, especially now that it's Disney Plus. But Disney Plus is not a part of that. Also, the naysayers are going like, they're reading off of what? +5, +7. What differentiates that? And how does that differentiate from like something in overnights? If that question makes sense.
Yeah. So I think for the 3 tenant specials, you could really look at the overnights and see how those ranked because at that time you had a simulcast sort of like on BBC and then all over the world. Even then, assuming that just pulling a number out of nowhere, just half the people are watching on iPlayer, that's not going to be reflected in the overnight ratings. I don't think it is.
No, they aren't.
But now that you have this goofy thing where we're putting Doctor Who on iPlayer 18 hours before it actually gets broadcast, it's like I can't even. It's not even that I'm trying to make any excuses. I just don't know that. I have no idea how that affects it. I don't know how many fans. It
kind of does because you're gearing a show for like adults. Yeah, some people are up at work at 3 a.m. or whatever or anything.
Exactly.
But if you want the kids reviewing, like or make it like a preteen show, like they're trying to possibly do, then you have the situation where we have to put it at a time closer to when the other show airs so that we get a better rating. You know what I mean? Or air it at the same time.
Right. And you can actually have a weird situation with your overnight rating, speaking of that, where you can have a lower ranking for your overnight ratings than you do for the whole week, which doesn't seem to make any sense. But like if it's BBC News, you're watching BBC World News, people probably aren't going to be watching that like 5 days later in the week. But Doctor Who, like people want to make sure they see every episode. So the ratings overnight can get all screwed up in that way. Plus it's released way ahead of time. I'm not sure, but I know that when you look at the ratings for like even when Doctor Who was more popular during the Capaldi's era, during his first season, I think, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure the overnight ratings were just as all over the place then as they are now, as far as how they're stacking up with other programs. So that's does that answer your question at all, Christian?
Yeah, well, like I said, this is a challenge now because we can't do it on Nielsen overnight ratings now that we have a different dynamic of viewing things and we can review it on our time. What is still considered a success? What is still considered good? Or what is considered, it didn't do so well? And we can't, it's really apples and steak that we're comparing these things to now as far as ratings are concerned.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go, oh, this series did better. And,
If you said, what was the lowest episode?
The lowest was The Story in the Engine. And it ranked
and
at number
I found
35.
that as a good episode.
Yeah, that's the catch-22 is like if you have a really good episode and people like it, then more people might tune in next week. If you have a stinker episode and then next week everyone doesn't watch and it might be really good, or you've got something weird where you're competing with football, like it's so that's why it's so weird, like how many numbers you get. Even the rankings are off, but the rating, like the raw numbers, they're especially off. There could be like a holiday and it can screw up the whole thing. So
I guess the question is, did it make money?
Yeah. And only the Mouse and BBC are going to know that, right?
Exactly, and that's what stinks. It's just like, okay, did you guys make money? Or you?
Well, eventually we'll find out the money thing as far as he goes, because BBC reports their financials publicly into Parliament, because it is a crown corporation. So they actually report that very publicly and legally disclose it.
Isn't that at the end of the year when they do that? I know they had to do it for tax purposes, right?
Yeah. And last season, so we won't know until the end of the year for this season. But last season, Doctor Who was the most by far profitable thing that the BBC had, because they have that entire thing broken down and presented to Parliament, and that was the biggest thing was Doctor Who. Whereas when you've got something like Disney Plus, their metric is what gets returned, is returning and subscribers. And they basically and that's a really hard thing to nail down. They've got a complicated algorithm on who they think came for Doctor Who and then stayed, or came for Stranger Things and then stayed. And it's based somewhat on those viewing habits. So it's not so much that they make money on X show, because they won't. It's a streaming service. They make money in a box. Here's the streaming service for the month. So they're trying to calculate how many people they think stuck around after a show compared to their investment into the show. So a show that does amazing but has a high budget. Look at Marvel stuff lately, for example. Even the stuff that has really good results is not making a lot of money because they cost so much to put out. Doctor Who costs a fraction of what they spend
You're comparing it to the Thunderbolts, right? The way that's going on and everything because of what's going on right now.
Exactly, or even Ironheart.
Right? Oh yeah, that's Disney. That's on Disney Plus as well. I just found out about it. I didn't even know.
Yeah, they didn't do good marketing for that.
No, they didn't do on market. Even though it's been postponed for 2 years. I'm like, well, everybody knew in that regard.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be in the theaters the way they were going.
It was for a while. There was conversation about making a film, but that's another topic. But
yeah,
try to compare. Okay, who came in to watch Ironheart? They come in, they log in, they sign up. That's the first thing they watch. That's most of what they watch. What else do they, and then kind of from there, what else do they watch? And then do they stick around after the series? That's a really, really distilled version of how they calculate that. And like I said, Doctor Who costs a fraction of, because they're not the ones putting in the most of the production budget. Most of the money Disney Plus put out goes to putting it into 4K, which is the higher resolution, which is what the first time the Doctor Who's been in 4K. It's been in high def, but not in 4K until Disney Plus. But, yeah.
All right.
So that's the ratings.
Good.
That's the ratings, and that's the news.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much, Sean, for doing that.
Yeah, no problem, Bob.
Okay.
And once again, a nice silent prayer for Beaker. And yeah, we're gonna miss that kitty. We're gonna miss him so much. Yeah. And if he's here, just knock the camera.
No, stop it.
We're all gonna laugh.
Keep this room up. I can't really keep this room going. Knock it off.
But that's the Who Knew News, guys, and everything. And bear with all of us. Some of us are hot as hell because summer is killing and kicking our butts.
Yeah. So with that question, why don't we go to a quick
My fan is blowing nice. So nice.
Hey, I'm trying to deal with this.
You.
I'm trying to deal with this thing, and it all the ice melted. That was ice. That wasn't water. That was ice.
Why don't we go to our commercial break, Christian?
Yeah, let's do that. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tune in, and we're going to get. Don't forget, if you haven't already, go ahead right now and put on your episode of while we're taking commercial break. Put on your episode of what you would like to add to our starter kit for somebody who's never heard of or never seen Doctor Who. We're going to put a starter kit together for the newbies when we return.
Are you a movie nerd? Do you collect VHS, DVDs, CDs, records, and so much more? Are you looking for clothing from 1940s to 2000s? Do you need cosplay or themed outfits? Come to Ducky's Vintage. We have it all for all budgets, located at the Oviedo Mall right off of the 417. Ducky's Vintage for those born in the wrong decade.
I'm author Mark Muncy.
And I'm author Erica Lance.
And this is Eerie Travels.
Greetings, travelers. Join us as we travel through folklore, myths, monsters, legends, and dark history.
Now, we'll be your guide to the spooky side of reality as we discuss cryptids, paranormal, and all things preternatural.
Sometimes we find the truth is way scarier than fiction.
We're on twice a week on your favorite podcast platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube.
We have amazing guests from all of the areas of the strange and unusual, including witnesses, investigators, and more.
Now, with Erica's curiosity and ridiculous array of pop culture and true crime knowledge.
And Mark's decades of experience diving into folklore and the legends with the truth that's behind them.
Yeah, so join us, travelers, as we take you to the edge of reality, and we'll see you on the other side.
I didn't listen to that voicemail. I'll tear open that letter you sent. Don't you tell your friends I want you back. I gotta leave you now and unread, because you've already said those words that switch my heart to dead from loving you. So you'll stay ghosted and I'll stay focused on sewing clothes. The spell stays unspoken, a dark silhouette of a marked man and broken. Right down, I didn't listen to that voicemail, a TikTok that story you sent. Don't you reel me in to get me back. I'm gonna leave you now.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Legend of Traveling TARDIS, everybody. Thank you for allowing us to pay our bills.
All 20
Do we
cents.
make money?
Not me. That's
Wait, please, because people think we make money on this.
I didn't
really.
Ooh.
I had to convince my ex-bosses that this does not make money. They're like, "Oh, it does." I'm like, "No, it don't. It's just for fun."
But it is. But we like to be able to support our friends and our.
Yes.
Occasionally, we do get some coffee money out of it. Free
Get out of jail free.
Let's be honest. No, it's not what
free bottle of barbecue sauce.
Whatever you think, we're not retiring. There's no way we're going to live off of this.
No.
Yeah.
Not
This
even
is
if
therapy. This is
not
therapy.
if you went to McDonald's for their dollar value meal, you won't survive. So I'm just saying, and drink water.
No.
This is true.
Sadly.
I make it sound like we're doing better.
They still have a dollar value meal? Wow.
Kinda.
Yeah. There's still a dollar menu.
Yeah,
Kinda,
exactly.
I think.
We get paid?
I will say this: we're at 66K subscribers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just checked
There
it
you
right
are.
now. So, guys, where are you? Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, well, thank you everybody who subscribed to us at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We hit another milestone. We crossed the big 6-6. I would love to see the 66666.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we could say execute order 66.
Yes. I will.
Pennsylvania 6. Yeah.
So thank you so much for getting us over this hurdle, and we're hoping that if we are projected from vidIQ, we should be hitting 75 by August, but can't do this without you. So please get your friends to subscribe, anybody you know, and if you enjoy this content, please subscribe and let them know so they can have a good time as well. Without further ado,
I want to hit 100K for Christmas. That's my Christmas present right there.
Okay.
Guys, if you get 100K, you know, I'm going to be down in Florida with you guys if it is winter. As long as the alligators, the salamanders, and the geckos don't go. Yeah. Because when we went to Disney, the geckos decided to try to get into the luggage.
Yeah. Dave's retiring after he finishes off his fire and ice books. No, I'll never have it.
Never.
Ever.
This dream won't come true.
Yeah, I've only been to the House of Mouse once.
Oh, congratulations, Sticks Boy. All right. I'm on the road to 200 subs as I recently
Nice.
Congratulations. Yeah, I think you
I'm at on my account.
You get the YouTube link, I think. You get the funky YouTube link.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Anyway. Am I doing this, Dave, or are you doing it?
I don't know where we're going with this. This is why they love us. It's all bloopers.
You were talking. I didn't want to interrupt you, and then
no, you're fine. You're fine.
Tom was confused, and so yes, let's get into our starter kit. And so what this is again, all of our panelists have selected a show that they would show somebody as this is your entry into Doctor Who. Take a look at this. So let's start out with. Cheers to that.
Yes.
Let's start with Sean. Our philosophy is what
Hello.
was your choice?
My choice was The Timeless Children. I'm kidding. My choice was, can you imagine? Maybe you should start with that one so that way there's
You saw my face right now.
Yeah. My choice was Carnival of Monsters. This is a classic Doctor Who story, and I actually think that people should start with Classic Who. Actually, are you asking me to explain this right now, or am I just supposed to tell you?
Yes. Nope. Explain away.
Okay, all right.
I pictured it.
Try to ask. Yes, because I want. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I think people should start with Classic Who, because if you watch Classic Who and you like that, then there's really nowhere to go but up, as I said before, because not that the new show is necessarily better, but it's more modern, which most people are going to be more used to. So Carnival of Monsters, it's a third Doctor story. It's got Joe Grant. It's a nice 4-parter, and it has the best of both worlds with really bad effects and a really good story. And that's what I say, if you can, and even the story itself, because it's not well preserved in the archives at the BBC, it doesn't look all that great either. It kind of has that tapey look to it. So if you can watch that and you can get into that, then I think you'll pretty much understand the show. It's a 4-parter. It does some really cool stuff with space and time and timey-wimey. And it's got some really memorable characters as well. It's got 2 characters in it who look like they walked out of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It's got 3 guys that are these gray aliens, and they're hilarious. I think one of them, this could be completely wrong, but I think one of them might have gone on to play Niter in the Genesis of the Daleks, I believe. Does anyone know if that's right?
Pictures are unforgiving right now. I'm sorry.
And it's got some of the most laughable green screen. It's got some of the most laughable perspective shots.
Is that my old bosses?
Could be.
Oh my God! What is that?
Is that one of the Drashigs? Is that one of the?
No, I think this is a pony.
What is it?
Pony fans. I'm getting rid of it. So I'm going
What
back.
is this?
I don't see it too well.
Those are monsters.
Yeah, the long
Drashigs.
with the teeth. Yeah, those are Drashigs. Yeah, those are pretty much the most well done effect in the thing. But I honestly think if I had just told you that this episode was just some weird random sci-fi short film that they showed on TV in the 70s in the UK, I think most people would be intrigued by that because it's so weird and campy, and I think it can get people hooked. So Carnival of Monsters, that's my pick.
So you're saying you have to be high to watch this?
I do have to say one more thing, though. If you've never seen Classic Who, if you watch one episode of Classic Who, just remember these were shown week after week. These were meant to have a week pass between them. So if you watch Classic Who, watch the first episode, shut it off, wait a day, then watch the second episode, shut it off. That's how I think that should be done.
Is this the one that had like a table and they were doing something on a table with little devices or something?
It had a little periscope machine in it. That's what the two carnival people were doing. But
I think I might have seen it in clips. Yeah.
And chat, if anyone here started with Classic Who during the modern era after it was already out, I would be interested to know that. So yeah, Carnival of Monsters.
Now, why would you think somebody? I'm just curious. This is the episode you picked out of everything. Why would you think this particular episode, for somebody who's never watched Doctor Who, would be attracted to this episode?
I think because they'll be intrigued. I think the cliffhanger in the first episode is really intriguing. I think the story is really fun. And if you like cheesy sci-fi, well, this is pretty much the cheesiest sci-fi you're going to get for a lot of Classic Who and Modern Who. So I think like if you like this, then I think then everything that's more professionally made than this, I think you'll like even better.
Okay.
All right. No, thank you for that, Sean.
Yeah, no problem.
Interesting.
Next up, let's see. Let's go with Gadget.
Yeah.
What did you pick, Gadget?
I picked one that if someone was trying to get into Doctor Who, fairly new, fairly like beginning. So I picked Blink. Because I figure let's start everybody off slow because the Doctor's hyperactive, everything.
Everybody's gateway drug.
Yeah, as I say, trying to get the like a way to show people like a thriller, but not a thriller, because some people like mystery, some people like, and this has everything in it. It has mystery, sci-fi. It has where you're like, wait a minute, my friend was just here, but now they're gone, or this happened. How did this happen? And then it was like, wait a minute, they're doing like 180s all the time. And then you got the precursor to Amy and Rory right there and everything. And please, I will swear on it, it is them and stuff, the way they acted and everything. As well as the fact that, were we really watching her watch the angels, or were we watching the angels watching her watch the angels? It was like, it's psychological, more everything. It's something that if you just want to start out figuring out something simple for the Doctor, get somebody used to like the story premise of it, this would be a good one. Especially when in the end it's like, like it hasn't happened yet, this hasn't happened, or this one went back there and everything. Like you're starting to catch on in it, and I think she played even more of a part in it as a companion as well as other parts, because I was looking at the scarf she was wearing and it reminded me of how the Fourth Doctor was very curious and did things and stuff, and then was always like hunting like a mysterious like Sherlock Holmes. And then you had the angels like keep an eye on them, but then you had that goofy friend, the best friend that she ends up falling for and everything, but really fell in love with the detective, but we find out later what happens to him and stuff. And I'm like trying not to spoil it for them, but it just gets to the point where you feel like you're not watching a Doctor Who episode, but then when you get the Doctor, you get to see the Doctor, then you're like, oh wait, I am watching. But it's more of an episode that stands on its own, that if they don't really like Doctor Who, maybe they'll like this episode because of the mystery, the sci-fi, and everything around it. It's like all wrapped in one.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for you, because a friend of mine named Patty Hawkins, who does the hosting for, well, he came up with a good retort on this one, because if you really think about it, it barely has the Doctor. So introducing this as it's a great episode. But if you were introducing somebody into the Doctor's world, how does that work when the main character is barely even in the episode?
Because I had some friends that literally were like, oh, I heard about this show. It's black and white. It's old. It's this. It's campy and stuff. And I said, okay, I showed them Blink. And they're like, what the hell? I'm editing what they said. They were like, wait, this is the doctor? This is, I was like, yeah. So he battles these things and everything. Yeah, right now he's off because of something that happened because of this and everything. And they were like, wait a minute, they what? And they, like it, depending on maybe the age gap or anything, but most people view, to me, when I was hanging out with, they were like, oh, it's just an old show. It's an old show. It's a British show. It's this. This took them basically out of the fact that, because I wouldn't have known it was like, say if I was just looking at it, I'd be like, oh, it's just a mystery show, you know, or it's this and everything. And then they got interested. They said, well, what else does he do? I said, well, he fights other things like the Daleks. What's a Dalek? I show them the Dalek. And they're like for a gateway one, if someone is not like hearing all the bad stuff about the Doctor, like other people who didn't like the Doctor, this would be something that slowly, especially Tennant, because Tennant was hyperactive and everything, like literally this would be one for those naysayers. Because even if it's that they only like this episode, it's something to say, it's in the back of their mind, like maybe I'll check out another one later on. Or, oh, wait a minute, this series matches this series because those two look like, Amy and Rory look like the two that I saw with Sparrow and Nightingale and everything, the way they were acting together and stuff. Or this was this one, or that was that one, you know? It's like it had some, like, it was like a gateway to what could be.
So you're looking at this upon where
someone said Doctor Who's bad. It's black and white. It's an old show. It doesn't have any merit, you know? Well,
let me put it this way, because Patty's criticism was, it's like, I baked you a cake and I want you to enjoy the cake, and then I take my finger, stick it in the icing, and said, here's the cake. So that, because he felt like it, you know, you're trying to focus and give the the impression of what the Doctor is in his world, but the episode focuses around Sally Sparrow. But you're talking about something that I think A is the Doctor's influence, how he influences
people, yeah.
And B, it's not a cake, it's an appetizer for people to go, oh, okay, now I'm really interested, because here's a good story. Here's somebody who was affected by the Doctor.
It's not too strong with David Tennant's, like, you know, I'm mad at you, I'm going to put you in a mirror. It's not this, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not that.
I like that.
But like someone who hasn't really seen the Doctor, or who hasn't seen Hartnell or anything, didn't realize that 2005 was the same as back in 1962. Those, you know, how come they didn't transfer over right?
I don't know. They went wonky. So I'm hoping all the pictures are okay.
Most are, some aren't.
Some are.
From when I was loading them up, and I loaded
damn
them
you,
up.
StreamYard.
That's from what I downloaded. They were just tiny resolution pictures.
Oh, okay.
Not StreamYard's fault. I was hoping,
because usually when I give you guys, they come out better. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Because I don't want to give away like some of it, because it does tie into a lot of things. Because you do get to see the Doctor in there with all his gadgets and everything. It's just that it's a scaled back for someone who's been like either poisoned because someone said something wrong about the old series and didn't put like, oh, it's just an old series that got revamped or whatever. It's just something that's different.
Yeah. And I think Patty makes a point that he doesn't intend to, and that you are with Blink, you really do introduce the Doctor's world.
Right.
More than you introduce the Doctor. And that's part of the thing about Doctor Who, is you have to understand the world of Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
So you can really understand the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that these angels are out there and that there's all these terrors out there, or, you know, things are going on whether the Doctor's there or not.
And that's what I'm thinking also tied into some of the newer episodes too, because you saw a lot of times the Doctor wasn't around and the companions were doing it, or somebody else was helping out, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's a good choice, and it's a
mm-hmm.
a common choice, because it is such a great episode.
It won awards and everything, and that's the best part about it, you know? The actors, like, I really thought we would get another like episode with her. Instead, we got Rory and Amy.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Gadget.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Tom, you picked a classic episode as well, didn't you?
I picked two just in case we had not enough time or too much time. But yes, let's go with the excuse me. So I'll mention number two because one day while watching PBS and the now defunct Channel 24 in Orlando, WMFE, I saw part of City of Death, which the Gadget was talking part of. It was so intriguing. Oh, what a wonderful butler. I can't remember the lines, but the terms, just the
so violent.
terms, so violent. Yes, thank you. That was the word. Like when Ramada asked the doctor, where are we going? Philosophically or geographically? Philosophically. Oh, we're going to lunch. Rang's a bully.
I mean, you could tell that they were having so much fun later, when they started their relationship.
When they started, then for the next year, she took care of him, and then, yeah, that's how relationships go. I should know by now, but I digress on that one. The one that caught me, because I only saw part of this, and I was like, what did I just watch? Because it was on a Saturday, and it turns some little bit later, The Five Doctors pops up on Channel 24. It's like, what? Who are all these dudes? Like, Doctor, that's Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who. So this one is my my number one.
Yeah,
I always say, because the Five Doctors, you get God. I sent that one.
That's what I'm saying. Something's wrong with StreamYard.
I should just do present settings and get off my computer. Oh, I could, but you know it is.
There we go.
Hello, Doctor. Now, I will throw this out because we watched the original one, but because when PBS took it and showed the original one, who likes which version? You like the original version when before they made more special effects, made all specially weshly? I made it up, copyright. Or you like the original? For me, it doesn't really make a difference. I kind of liked it when they saw the original, and when at the end, when each doctor departed, they went into the TARDIS and said, how is it possible? They're all going in the same place. Watch. And you see a TARDIS go this way, a TARDIS go that way. But for the effects of grabbing the doctors from their time periods, they made it all special. Okay. It's still the same show. It's just nicely added. It's people want to see things that could have been, much like George Lucas kept redoing Star Wars over and over again, because his vision is one thing. So this is what happened. But then like money came in, advancements came in. Yes, you want to make changes. Things get better.
Did he have a tan in this one?
Yeah, that was that Madame Tussauds model.
Yeah.
Which was kind of bizarre.
This looks like they're about to drop their best disco album.
Mm-hmm. For those
K9 and the Doctors.
For those of you who may not be familiar, and a little spoiler, Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor, decided he did not want to do the Five Doctors. So when they did their publicity tour, the publicity photos and everything, they pulled the Tom Baker doll from Madame Tussauds. Tussaud, is that even
Tussaud, potato.
And they had a bit of you can actually find photos online where they actually had a good time with Tom, more than they should have. But yeah,
I was going to do those pictures, but I said no.
They found an old clip of an episode that they didn't finish, written by Douglas Adams, called Shada. They cut it up and they implemented it into the Five Doctors. So that's the only time that you'll ever see Tom in the episode. I wish he would cut it in a little bit better. I wish he had like added stuff. Like, okay, when they did the updated version, it's like, okay, Tom films a little bit more. But yeah, unfortunately, he wasn't there for everything. And
then it would have been called
Shada. Shame on him. So,
but with a clip of it was enough there because people didn't know. And eventually the book came out and the audio with the Eighth Doctor and changes here and there. But it was the 20th anniversary. It was bringing classic Doctor Who characters into the picture. Oh my God! It's after 20 years. We had Richard Hurndall play the first Doctor because we lost William Hartnell. Then we also lost Richard Hurndall afterwards. But so it had the classic feel, the classic characters here and there. The novelizations are always going to be different because the novelization was from Terrence Dicks. So it would say the first Doctor knew he was going to regenerate. So it was in his garden. Like, what? We already know about the 10th planet. Nothing like that. But, it was just something unique. Everyone's dressed so differently, so British. In a foreign land, in a quarry. That's kind of typical. Let's bring a Cyberman. Let's bring a Dalek. Let's bring in a Yeti. All these cool things. Like, oh, you redecorated. I don't like it. So it's all around fun.
Tom, I have a question for you. I'm going to tell you a little short story that, because you and I used to watch PBS on Channel 24. And the thing was, when I grew up watching Doctor Who, it was all Tom Baker. That was it. It started with Robot, ended with Legopolis. He fell off a tower. He turned blonde. That was it. And I
That's how 21 here, WIW ended.
right. But
yeah.
Growing up, I didn't know any better. I thought that was the series. I was like, why does he turn into this guy? And that was it. And then they would start over with Robot. And they did this for quite some time.
I got Sylvester. That was the thing. When that ended, I didn't get the 5th. I got Sylvester.
Yeah, but and this is why I don't begrudge kids growing up knowing that they're watching the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Doctor and not knowing all this history back then, because when I grew up, it was always the 4th Doctor. I didn't even know he was the 4th. I thought he was the only one, and he turns blonde. And then all of a sudden, the PBS got some money from selling all those VHS tapes. And they brought in the 5th Doctor, and they said, well, we have the 5 Doctor special. I'm like, 5 Doctors? And that it was confusing because my doctor was barely seen on the episode. And I guess my question is, would that confuse people, knowing the multi-doctors, not knowing the situation, or having established a relationship with the doctors yet, to throw 5 of them in there? Would that confuse things? Would people know that they're, linear-wise, this is the first, this is the second, this is the third? Or do you think they should just jump in the deep end? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dave, Melanie started with the 50th anniversary.
I believe so, yeah.
Well, didn't Tennant say in Blink to Sally Sparrow that my timeline's never in order anyway?
Well, I think it was referring to the story in Blink, because he hadn't made the book yet, that he would send to Sally to figure, so they could communicate on the VHS tape, which I thought was cool. I thought that was cool. But the only concern I have is, would people get confused by the notion of 5 doctors being in there, 5 leads all of a sudden in there, and trying to explain that out while having a story?
No, because for me, it was just uniqueness. And I guess, like, what's going on here? This one's doing this, one's doing that. It's like all of a sudden, doctor. Like a MASH episode.
You concur.
Doctor. Hello, doctor. Hello, doctor.
Well, there's something to be said for this episode is an introduction at the time, and this episode is an introduction now. I think you would be hard pressed to find someone who was interested in trying out Doctor Who that didn't at least know that there was multiple doctors.
Possibly, but remember, our thing is for somebody who's never heard of, or was never introduced, never heard of Doctor Who, and then all of a sudden, and there's actually those people that are out there who've been buried under a rock, and I've met a few of them recently. So, what was that gadget?
Disney actually has one in their thing. I have the other one. He was playing with the VHS, so I figured you guys would see some classic
or Laserdisc
before the VHS.
Before the dark times.
Now I'm curious. Because I actually recently found my mother had it stashed away, and she brought it to my house and didn't tell me. We have a vinyl record of Star Wars music. Yeah. I'm curious what that would go for.
I have the Brer Rabbit one that's not supposed to exist. LP right here. I can't say the full name or Disney will take it from me.
Sean, what's up?
Christian, just so you know, sorry guys, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was saying, when they did the Honest trailer for classic Doctor Who, it's so interesting that you said that about Tom Baker, because when they were going through the doctors, calling like the 3rd Doctor, the snake-tatted Kung Fu Austin Powers Doctor, the name for the 4th Doctor, they called him this is what most people think all of classic Who is Doctor.
Yes.
That's exactly what happened to you. So.
Which is true. Well, that's the thing. They would replay that. So that's all I knew about Doctor Who. That was it.
And it's so hard to find the film reels because nobody can see
so
anything from the past because of everything. Got either wiped off or reused.
True.
So before we get into you and I, Christian, why don't we go through what some of the audience had to say?
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and run some chats. Ramona, hello. Starting with a mummy movie, The Pyramids of Mars.
Ooh.
It was my starter, and I was hooked. Gals might enjoy Tom Baker, still hot. I thought he was a handsome man.
Well, I sent you guys a picture of what he looks like last year.
Yeah.
Oops.
He's a cutie.
So Raj says, way back to the beginning, An Earthly Child would be another great place to start if they can even get it or get them interested in the TV movie. So we're starting from...
I forgot about that because a lot of us saw the movie and didn't realize it was.
I don't know. I'm just a little afraid of that little part where he's half human on his mother's side. So
I couldn't figure out how he walked through the glass window. He
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was like, what did he do? What, can I see that again?
Time is fleeting.
Sticksboy73, by the way, congratulations on 200. Doing Doctor Who over on my channel, and the guys had never watched Doctor Who before. We started with Rose, and for the last 7 weeks, we have been doing one episode of Classic Who Doctors on Tuesdays. Well, that's easy. That's cool.
Nice.
Actually, my opinion, when people ask me at the conventions, which is not my choice, by the way, but I would start them with Rose. I think that is the best place to start. Because if you dive them into Classic Who, it might be too much for them. It might be. I mean, it was a little tedious. It was boring. You're talking about low grade quality, but it's still exciting because of the stories, because of the acting and the fun that it had. But
when it came back here on 21 again, I got it with "Are You My Mummy" and everything, and I didn't even realize either. You know, I would have rather seen Rose first. You know.
Raj says, for new Who like Gadget, I would pick Angels in Manhattan, even though the ending was a sad one.
I say it's the same as Blink because they're fighting the angels, they're trying, you know what I mean, and they're trying to keep their wits about themselves because they keep getting sent back in different times.
Dave, that's all of our chat so far. Did you want to go for the next one? Or you want me?
No, let's get you. I'm the host. Damn it, I get to go last.
Oh, okay, fine, whatever.
So, Christian, let's see what you.
I choose Duggan too.
All right. No, cut it. I will throw you off my chat.
I want a squishy Dugadoo.
I'm surprised nobody had picked this one, and I picked this one. I think this is a repeat, but when Doctor Who's firing, I'm demonstrating something to try to bring somebody into the universe, to try to make them a Whovian, to show everything and run everything on all 4 cylinders. Great writing, great directing, great acting. One moment you're crying because you're laughing your butt off. The next minute you're crying because you are sad. And I was kind of shocked that nobody picked this, but Vincent and God, what is wrong with this?
I told you it's not our pictures.
Vincent and the Doctor.
You're
still screwing.
Because that is the saddest one of them all.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. It is the saddest one, and and
it hits close to home for me.
It's time travel. It's historical figure.
It talks about mental illness.
It's got a monster in it. It has to deal with something that affects the future. It talks about a very serious subject and plays it very well, I think. I think it does a very tasteful... I mean, it could have gone really south, but it does it in a very tasteful way. And at the end, you know, I don't want to spoil it for somebody who hasn't seen it because it is a wonderful episode. But, you know, things are the way they were, but differences were made, if that makes sense. I'm trying not to say the ending, just in case somebody...
because nobody...
But it was a wonderful episode. It was greatly played. I forgot the guy's name, and I feel so bad, but the guy who played Vincent.
Oh, yeah,
he did a great job. Everybody was bucking for him to be the next Doctor. and it plays on a lot of things. And this is what I think is the best of Doctor Who for somebody who's never seen it.
Tony Curran, I think that's his name.
I'm even thank you, Tony Curran. Yeah, I think I would even go as far as to say, if you were to take the old bits of Classic Who, of what Classic Who represented, and shoved it into New Who of what the best of it is in present day, this is the episode that would pop out. This is the baby that would shoot out of being both a representative of both Classic and New Who.
She's even wearing a scarf like Sally in this episode too. Sorry. She's looking the way she's wearing her scarf, the way Sally was wearing her scarf with her red hair. I was like, wait, that just caught me.
And then you have that moment where Vincent turns to her and he goes, "You're crying," and that leaves a little interest for somebody who, a play on something that might be happening for someone who hasn't seen the Doctor Who episode yet. That might interest them and go, "Oh, what's he talking about?" There's so much going on in this story. It has a beautiful song at the ending. At the end,
it's a good episode.
Yeah, and the moment he sees Bill Nye, not the scientist, the actor, when he sees him, I meant, if you're not crying by the end of that, you have no emotion. You're not. This is just a beautiful episode, and I watch it periodically because it's just a wonderful. This is when Doctor Who is at its best, and I can't think of a better episode to introduce somebody.
Who was this? Chibnall or
no? It's Moffat.
This was Moffat. Okay.
This is when Moffat. Yeah, it's during around the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
It's just so beautiful. And if I was, if somebody said, Christian, it's not my favorite episode. It's one of them. Mm-hmm. My favorite episode is The Talons of Wang Chiang because I grew up with it. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's what I was waiting for you to say, Wayne.
I watched it on Pluto TV the other night. It was just like I introduced Chrissy to it. And then I introduced her to Mr. Sin. She's going like, "What the hell is this?"
Pluto TV
but it's fun because it introduced Jago and Lightfoot. It's Deep Roy's in it, and let me stick with this. This episode is, to me, a starter kit on its own. Mm-hmm. I don't know what episode could actually be. I mean, you guys had some great input and great stuff, but like I said, if I wanted to lay all the cards on the table and said, "This is Doctor Who," this would be the episode that I would use for me.
Yeah. Others may be disappointed because you pointed out the best things. You're okay, this one, but all the rest, So it's more like trying to find
I'm not dissing. I'm just saying, like, everybody has their great moments, but if I wanted to say, here's everything. Yeah. There's science fiction. There is historical. I already went through the message, but everything about Doctor Who that's encapsulated in every episode that's ever been, I think, puts it down into this one episode. So
if anybody does know Vincent Van Gogh's like mental state or how everything was throughout this,
right?
Understand.
And I think that's the challenging thing. It actually delved in, unlike some other episodes, this one delved into a serious subject, and that's really hard to write. So I think, did Moffat write this one? I think it was a Moffat episode.
That's why I was trying to figure out who wrote it, because they did it very tastefully, especially.
Yeah, it worked. It worked, and I think it's one of the best Doctor Who episodes ever.
And it's a standalone episode in a way that is not too common for that era, where everything is like bogged down and the silence and the cracks and this is one that can kind of stand on its own too.
Exactly. This is one I can just show and say one and done, and hopefully you liked it.
Richard Curtis?
Really? Okay. Yeah. So what? It wasn't? Okay.
Written by Richard Curtis, produced through executive producer Moffat and Murray Gold.
Okay. So it was during Moffat's time, but Richard Curtis, excuse me, Richard Curtis.
He must have had someone familiar with what the premise was behind. That's why he could write it that way. Because unless you know what that is, you'd be able to take a little grain of salt when you write it.
Yeah, he's known for romantic comedy dramas, including 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill, Bridget Jones' Diary. So he must have somebody.
He knows that. Yeah. Wow. That's the only way I can accept that, because that would be the only way he could write it that way without making it feel like a stigma,
So I picked.
There you go.
Well, the sunflower. Okay, why do you say about the sunflower?
I wanted to pick something that other people wouldn't have already picked, but I wanted to pick something that kind of encompasses multiple eras of the show, similar to the way Five Doctors did. But I wanted something newer, so I went with Wild Blue Yonder.
Oh,
Off we go.
You've got
Duggadoo.
it is one of, if not the best episodes of the new era. I think you'd be hard pressed to find anyone who wouldn't say that. Whether they like the other episodes or not, common consensus is this is one of the best.
Are you saying about the D plus era or classic? Or
the Disney plus era. The Disney plus
era. Okay.
Yeah.
And for those, we have Scrooge McDuck and Magic of the Spell.
Yeah. We got David Tennant in here, which has the advantage of, again, tying in your current Doctor, being the 14th Doctor, and really feeling like a modern era episode, but also then gets you people interested in the 10th Doctor, both his time with and without Donna. So that helps you tie that in together. And of course, if you go, so you can go backwards and learn more, or you can keep going forward into Shooty's era, and into the Giggle, and then into the Ruby Road. So there's all sorts of great opportunities. Plus, like I said, it's got good effects. It's got a good mystery. It's got a creepy as bleep villain, and it sets up.
It's a psychological villain.
Exactly, there's a psychological issue to it. It sets up a lot of the Shooty era with the salt, throwing the grains of salt and all of that. Even if they don't follow the story forward yet, you can tell that's a really deep moment lore wise. The pouring of the salt at the edge of the universe. You can really that's a thing that as a science fiction fan, or even as a folklore or fantasy fan, you can tell that's probably going to come in somewhere important, whether you follow it or don't. And I love, I didn't love Donna in the first run, but she's really, really good in this episode and in the 3 episodes of the specials. So I think it's just a really good all around episode.
So this episode could be blamed for Duggadoo later on, right? Because you have a Meep, you have this, so yeah, why not, right?
I think that's a really bold choice too, Christian. I will go to bat for Wild Blue Yonder, so I'm really glad you picked that one. Because that's also, isn't that the first time we get the TARDIS going like doing that weird thing? Okay.
Yeah.
And we get Mavity.
The episode was so well done that I didn't notice that. Yeah, the Mavity thing, I know it's stupid, but I'm a Mavity stan. I will say Mavity when not Doctor fans. I'm one of those. Good choice.
Wait a minute, Sean, do that noise again.
Oh, that noise? The TARDIS
Somebody clip that, please.
I got pills for that.
That's called a subharmonic. Like you can do subharmonic singing with your voice where you go like,
you're a throat singer.
Yeah.
The Native American throat singers.
Exactly. Now I know Mark, because I know you just started. Mark disagrees with it. He doesn't like that episode, and as I say, common consensus does not mean everybody by any stretch. Of course, there's and I think the same could be said for any of these episodes. You're going to find people who are going to hate them. You mentioned Rose, Christian. I can't stand that episode.
Roger picked the Unicorn and the Wasp.
Wait, which episode can't you stand,
Rose.
Dave?
Rose.
Oh man,
I don't know. I'd argue it's not the greatest. It is not the greatest episode. It's just that when you're starting somebody out with who, and you want to try to follow the line, it's probably best to start where that diving board is, as opposed to going all the way back to, maybe the start of another Doctor in the past. And also when you're talking about, kids today, they're used to a certain technology. And then if I were to probably get somebody from the 1990s and pull them to a black and white show, they're probably whatever, and they're going to be bored out of their mind.
Oh, very much. Very much.
Which as
I had a black and white TV till 1989.
You're not,
That is so interesting, Dave, because I just don't usually hear people say that, and it's like, as a Doctor Who fan, it's like I don't like have any.
I appreciate the episode, but yeah, no, I don't like that episode. I never have, and I've watched it numerous times. I wouldn't turn it off necessarily. I don't hate it. I appreciate it for what it is, and of course, it I recognize that this is what started the era out. It's an important episode.
Right.
But
isn't that the one where Graham Norton also got bloopered into or something? That was Rose, right?
Yeah, that was Rose.
Was that Rose? Or I thought that was...
Yeah. And when they novelized it, they actually explained that Graham Norton was playing on a radio in the hallway because of that interruption.
Really?
Yeah, it was ad-lib, meaning they had a live mic on him and never turned it off.
And then also, as you're going through that, Dave, I'm just sitting here like, the urge to disagree is too strong.
Could we please get him like mic'd and like sampled?
Yeah.
Let me go through the...
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was about to say we got a few more chats, but you go ahead and wrap up. Man, you wrap up.
I was just going to say that things like watching our little Tim dog Mickey look like rotten Robbie from Happy Town, like plastic look of him, just like, this is terrible. This is terrible effects even for the era.
Pizza.
For the trash can.
Yeah.
Like you could see like whatever was melting from him.
Yeah.
Like
They just even at that time, a good home computer could do those same effects, if not better. And so it's just not great. But I'm not gonna hate over that. But
we need that clip of Mickey going, babe, sweetheart, babe, sugar.
That was just like I said. To me, I'm only using this as a linear hit. I mean, if I really wanted to start somebody off with New Who, classic New Who, now whatever we're calling it now, I would have started them off with Dalek. That would have been my first episode to put it, and then go back to Rose or something like that. But Dalek would have been my thing.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
Candyman says I would start with Doctor Who and the Daleks. He goes to the movies with Peter Cushing because it is not the Doctor Who as we know it, but a way of introducing Doctor Who by asking more questions, or why it is not Doctor Who.
Why he has two grandchildren or two nieces or whatever it is.
Well, he's human down there, so everything is related. Now, when we get to Susan in Doctor Who, we're not even sure what they consider granddaughter. So they may not even have a blood relation, or that might have been a moniker that the Doctor used to hide Susan, saying, "Oh yeah, this is my granddaughter." Mm-hmm. Raj, I'd also pick The Unicorn and the Wasp for someone who's into Agatha Christie books, along with Joy to the World Christmas special we got last year. Yeah. Candyman continues. See, I would disagree, Dave. About Blue Yonder, I found it boring and not scary at all. I can't see why a lot of people like this episode. He avoids it at all costs. So it's your call, brother. Yeah.
Wow.
Nobody's gonna. Raj says the 50th anniversary special is another good introduction. Melanie, since
that's when I cried.
Since there's a Tom Baker cameo in it, the problem is, I don't know how Melanie got into it, but she said that she knew about Tom Baker and Classic Who. So when she got into this, it was just icing on the cake when Tom Baker shows up. But still, and this is what I have about the Disney Plus version. It's just like when they were bringing in, oh my God, Ronnie and all that. I mean, just like if it's somebody who's new to Doctor Who, I think they would be confused out of their brain cells trying to figure out what the heck is this going on, as opposed to reintroducing the the villains and the monsters, reintroducing them to a new generation so that they can appreciate it just the way we did when we were introduced to them. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all the chats. That is it.
I don't think anyone picked any of the jumping on episodes that the showrunners wanted. So ha!
Cushy movies are being re-released again. Okay.
Nice.
And
So, like I said, when I was coming home from being a waitress, and I turned on the TV because I didn't have cable, and the next thing I know, I'm seeing this. I'm like, oh, this looks cool. This looks interesting, right? The Are You My Mummy, like everything, right? And then I hear the theme, and then the confidential after, and I'm like, when did this come back? And I would always race home to try to tape it, and you see it like going in and out because of the antenna and everything.
Yeah.
That's when you got to introduce somebody like the old way we used to watch it, with antenna holding one this way and everything else.
And for those of you, again, thank you so much for getting us to 66,000. That's an amazing number. Thank you so much for each one of you who took the time to hit that button. Appreciate it there. And plus, if you want to find out exclusively only on our YouTube channel, if you want to get involved, we started doing polls, and one of the questions that we asked is, if you were to introduce Doctor Who to someone who's never seen it before, which period of the show would you start? And a big old number for Classic Who, 60%. Classic New Who, 38%, and 2% went to Disney Plus New Who. Now, in all fairness, there's more content in Classic. There's more content in Classic New. So Disney Plus didn't get as much, probably because the amount of episodes that they had. But also, I would think the number would have been bigger for people who wanted to go into Doctor Who and say Disney Plus. But it went to Classic Who.
I was a little bit surprised at that. I think that speaks a little bit towards the demographic of our viewers.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said that Classic Who's best enjoyed the first time backwards by Doctor.
But you cut out, Dave. What did you say? The Classic Who's best enjoyed what?
Backwards.
Oh, okay.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Blast
because
off.
if you jump it, blast off. Thunderbirds are go. Sorry. If you throw someone into that first, second Doctor era, that's a very different storytelling method than it is in modern times. And so, if you go backwards, you're easing people through the changes in that storytelling, and there's not such a giant culture shock.
Oh, that's a good point. And also,
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. StreamYard shot me with a warning. I was like, what the heck? Never seen that before, but okay. The other thing is, I think, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong on this, when they go back, when they first started doing Doctor Who, there's really no like television, or television was still in its infancy. So the only place that these folks could get work were, it wasn't like they had actors lying around. They were all on stage. So you were getting if you see how TV was done then, it looked like a stage play.
Yes.
Like you might see on,
yeah.
Exactly, like classic old PBS things like I, Claudius. The way that they were set up, the acting was a lot more campier. But these people were coming from the stage and going on the television. Flash forward to 2005 with Christopher Eccleston, you're now going into method acting, and there's a different variation. Television's been around for quite some time, and Doctor Who is getting a new facelift on everything. It's getting the tech that it finally, well, except for the hands on the trash can thing. It's getting more high tech now, or at least it's being introduced into a technology that now appreciates the stories. Whereas back then, the imagination of the writers was far more outweighing what the tech was back then. For crying out loud, a Weirin was a man holding bubble wrap in his hand painted green. That was a Weirin.
Yeah.
So I criticize. I joke when I go to panels. I say, you know what? If you want to cosplay a 1970s monster from Doctor Who, just walk into your Office Depot. You'll find everything that you need in there: paper mache, aluminum foil, everything that you need to cosplay that. So I get what you're saying, Dave. Yeah, you ease them back into it, but I think something has to go linear at some point because I started fourth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a hard pill to swallow to go back and see Hartnell. In fact, I think it was they went back to Pertwee, and then when they started getting more money, and then of course they started finding more episodes in places that you didn't think there were episodes. You know, they start bringing in the first Doctor and the second Doctor, and they were incomplete at that point. So,
And Chris, was this the 80s that you're starting to watch this?
70s, 80s.
Okay, because
right
I know
at the bridge gap.
It might have been like at least like after, because like for a lot of people they started watching Classic Who like after Star Wars was already out. So
Right.
it's like the standard had been set high, but it's like
Mine was Doctor Who and Dark Shadows on PBS.
Yeah, my first I think the first time I really sat down and watched Doctor Who seriously was I was watching Troughton because I loved the Twilight Zone back then. So I'm biased toward classic. But
And I love classic. I love campy sci-fi. I love black and white sci-fi. But and I'm not saying I don't love Classic Who by any stretch. Just in going backwards, I've realized that it eases people in. And it really came into focus for me when Power of the Daleks, the animation, came up. And people were walking, because that got a theater release.
Mm-hmm.
People were walking out that were saying, well, this is boring. This is so slow.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, not the same sort of storytelling that we're used to. When you look at that era compared to now, they were looking for the current new Who run speed. I'm not getting it.
Dave, I would also ask, do you think that might have had, I'm not arguing with you at all, but I just, for the Power of the Daleks, that that first animation, no disrespect to the people who did it, but until they got to go back and redo it in 2020, that was rough. I mean, I like Trout, and I was watching that, and I'm like, this is rough.
Agreed, but I actually heard people complaining about the pacing.
Right.
Pacing as they left, so that was the.
Mm-hmm.
I specifically overheard that sort of that conversation.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm sure that didn't help matters for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Power in the theaters too, and it was a hard pill to swallow because of the pacing. And then I never saw the classic episode, so I didn't know the difference between what was in the TV episode and what was upgraded and moved over to, the animation wise.
Mm-hmm.
It was slow, and I think it was the very beginning because he had just regenerated. So I was trying to be like mindful about this is the first time regeneration has taken place.
Mm-hmm.
So how would an audience now be introduced? I mean, God forbid, but God knows, if you're sitting in the watching this at home and your favorite lead character just changed his face. I mean, Captain Kirk now looks like Jean-Luc Picard. So what?
They did it with Pike.
Well, Pike and Kirk are completely different, and I meant like that he was part of the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Hartnell had been on for 3 years, so he already established an audience, established a presence, and now here comes this other guy who looks completely nothing like him, doesn't act like him. He's a hobo against the father figure. He's still a father figure, but in a different way. But still the running course of the same morals and the same presence as to him being a Time Lord.
Yeah,
Pike is older than Kirk.
If you guys have a chance to listen to the one with the linking narration, if you have, with the audio, and then you can just listen to it and it tells you what's going on, I think that's the definitive way, because then you don't get that awkward dead air where characters are just kind of staring at each other, and it seems to really drag it down,
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's this dead space, and then the characters are just standing there for like moments, and it's just like they didn't seem to know where to fill in the blank. It's just like, oh, he's gonna walk off now.
So now we know where not to start.
Right.
Start with the power of the Daleks animation, but we've given you 5 other great options, and the audience has given us even more to on where you would start people for 2025's starter pack of Doctor Who. Ta-da!
So yeah, there's your starter pack, folks.
Oh.
All right, Dave, you want to wrap it up, and then we'll go for next week.
It's a good time. Gadget, where can we find you?
Everywhere and anywhere you can find me. I was at the Build in June. Now it's going to be August 2nd. It's going to be the Bronx Anime and Comic-Con, as well as Anime NYC in later August, and then New York Comic-Con in October. Plus, you can also pick up the books on lulu.com. I'm trying to get into the camera. I have to go re-edit something because now the EU and everything else, price per paper and everything has gone up and everything. So, yep. So they're going to readjust the prices. So get them now before the prices go up and everything. And like I said, this is like the cutest one, especially if you have dyslexia or autism and you want to teach somebody how to play Dungeons and Dragons. Do this one. If you want to just be like laughing at my life and everything, you can read this one and everything. But they're a bunch of good reads, and pick them up when you can. And once again, Bleeker. Yep. Beaker, I'm going to miss you. Beaker, I'm going to miss you.
Thank you.
And Sean, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Our Philosophy Is. I think it's 9119.
Yes.
I cover geeky stuff. I cover all kinds of stuff. And my philosophy is that there is always something to talk about with geeky content or philosophy itself. So if any of that interests you, I am going to be still reviewing every episode of the Troughton era because I have not seen all of that era yet. So if that interests you, head on over to my channel. But
there you go. And Tom, where can we find you?
Behind the banner.
There we
go. That's better. You can find me and Candyman and Paparazzo and Nick Smith on Spill the Geek Tea. Sunday nights, 5 p.m. Eastern, and of course my other channel, Taste the Cake, all those other shows I do Wednesdays and Saturdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. I do 4-hour shows just because. And see if you can pick up the book from Michael Herbert. Things are not always what they seem. The writing and publishing politics of Malcolm Hulk, the man who wrote Doctor Who and other stories as well. So I think this was on Lulu as well. I don't remember. But
yes, it was.
Yeah, it's all after people.
Mm-hmm.
See, I fixed the banner.
You can find me also on Spill the Geek Tea. But I'd start there. Also, Happiness Patrol. Great show with Melanie, Jessica Womack, some of our friends from this channel. My cousin's on it. I got some other friends. We're talking about what makes us happy. And in our first season, we're talking about Star Wars. So episode 2 is coming up here in 2 days' time, Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain. That's 8 o'clock Eastern time. So you can check that out. As well, you can find all of my regular stuff at youtube.com/therattle.ca. That's the rattle DOTCA because YouTube doesn't like URLs in their URLs.
That's weird. I have your LinkedIn trees.
My link tree is regular.ca. You can find me with either at therattle.ca or the rattle.dotca, depending on your social media. That's it. It just depends on what the site will let me do. YouTube channel right there. Just a reminder as well. I'm going on vacation. I'm heading over to the EU and the UK, so I'll be seeing Mark here in a couple of days. Coming to you from England, from London next week, and
lots of pictures.
We'll see what I get for pictures, and then the week after that, I'm in Brussels for the Quad Ball, formerly Quidditch World Cup. So, and then I'll be be heading home from there. I probably won't be on the episode while I'm over in another hour yet later. But we'll see what happens. It'll be a great time, and then I'll be back bouncing around. But there'll be lots of stuff on my YouTube channel the weekend after I get back, 19th, 20th. I'm going to be streaming all day from RPG-a-thon in Edmonton. So if you are in the central northern area of Alberta, check RPG-a-thon out. Great event. They'll have vendors indoors and out completely free. You only have to pay if you're playing in the various games. So great opportunity there. Christian, where can we find the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS?
Oh, we're going to be busy, so let me go ahead and
Yep.
that information. We're going to start. Where is that flyer? There we go. Doctor Who Day. A day with the Daleks. The Daleks are going to invade Melbourne, Florida at Famous Faces and Funnies. Go over at 3540 West New Haven Avenue in Melbourne, Florida. Again, it's a one-day event only. Free parking, free admission, July 19th. And the festivities start at 11 a.m. We're going to have the Dalek Builders of Florida there. Dalek Hal and all of his buddies are going to be there. If you want to get some pictures, we'll be having special events. Not exactly sure what those events are yet, but we were talking about cosplay contest as well as trivia, but we will be out there for hours all day. So the events start July 19th at 11 a.m. at Famous Faces and Funnies. This place is huge, and we'll have enough space for the Daleks to rub them down. They may be coming after you out there. Don't forget, 10% off of comics, trivia, and more. So please join us out there. 10% off of comics in the store. I think they're Doctor Who comics. I'm not sure if it's the whole thing, but keep an eye on that. And then later, September 12th through the 14th at the World Golf Village Renaissance Resort. Again, we will be with the Dalek Builders of Florida with Hal, Ren, and all of his team at St. Augustine, Florida. September 12th through the 14th. Get your tickets now at ancientcity.com. And also, don't forget, if you are hungry, Kitchen Killers barbecue sauce. We will be selling them at both locations over at Famous Faces and Funnies and Ancient City Con. But you can now. Where the heck is that banner? That banner disappeared so many times. You know what? Let's just do this.
I didn't listen to that voicemail. I'll tear open that letter you send. Don't you tell your friends I want you back. I gotta leave you now unread, because you've already said those words that switch my heart to dead from loving you. So you'll stay ghosted and I'll stay focused. I'll sew in close. The spell stays unspoken. A dark silhouette of a mark man and broken. Right down. I didn't listen to that voicemail or TikTok that story you sent. Don't you reel me in to get me back.
KitchenKillers at gmail.com for 10% off. Use promo code TARDIS. Again, KitchenKillers at gmail.com. You'll be speaking to Billy directly, and you get 10% off using TARDIS promo code TARDIS. And look at that. Look what you can make out there. It's great.
I wish I could eat it. I told you. Let them make one without anchovies. I'll be fine.
Yeah, well, anchovies. Hopefully the next one. If this batch is successful.
Yep.
So without further ado, for our friends who will be celebrating in just 3 days from now, if you're watching this live here on January 1st, January 4th, happy 4th of July for our friends out there. And for our friends now, happy Canada Day.
Woo! I'm surprised the fireworks haven't gone off yet here. They've been going off all night.
Take off, hey. So yeah, just be careful. And don't forget on your way out, don't forget to say hi, good night to Rose. Good night to our friend Simon. And if you want to add it, good night to Beaker. Anybody else have any final words before we go?
Just be kind to everybody.
Yep.
You don't know what somebody has, you know?
Except Tom. All right, folks, we'll see you next week. We may have a special guest on, and if we do, please know that the time will be different. We will be starting the show just about a half hour earlier. And that's it, folks. Thank you for joining. Oh, hey there.
Got a pet alert.
Half hour early. What? I didn't
That's
know about
really
that.
not a. You know what? Well, fine.
Half hour early. Let me half hour early. Let me
Well,
an hour
that's
early.
a cattler. Everybody, thank you so
Gotta
much.
kill
We'll
you.
see you next week. Have a great time. And don't forget, until the next adventure, Tony,